Specifically, I want to address Joe, who recently posted a compilation video of her and her ex, even though they've been broken up for months, and he's moved on to a new relationship. Oh, and he's even blocked her. Let me be blunt. Joe, please get some professional help. Posting a video like this doesn't scream, "I'm done and moving on." It actually does the opposite. It's like waving a flag that says, "I'm still stuck in the past." We can all relate to the pain of a breakup, but most of us understand the importance of self-respect and self-preservation. Broadcasting your heartbreak for months, especially to the entire world, isn't healthy. Now, I get that it must be tough for Joe. Her ex was her ticket into this weird Fox celebrity lifestyle, and without him, that connection is gone. But clinging to what they had, especially in such a public way, isn't going to bring it back. There's also the possibility that Joe knows exactly what she's doing. Maybe she's trying to grab followers and engagement so she can spin this into something lucrative down the line. But honestly, it's just making her look like a laughingstock. And let's be real, how many orders is she really getting from that dropshipping venture? I'm not convinced it's many at all. In the end, Joe needs to take a step back and focus on herself. Moving on and finding happiness outside of that past relationship is what's really going to make a difference in her life. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Spill Chronicles. It's me, Ramona, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. That's exactly how I feel about this table right here. Shorts, Stassi's mom, Katie's mom, and Brittany's mom all sitting together. Seriously, what could they possibly be talking about? I'm kind of obsessed with the idea, not gonna lie. First off, I'm thrilled to hear they're hanging out. Sure, Stassi's mom and Sherry, Brittany's mom, get a lot of hate online. They're not perfect. But despite their flaws, it's clear they all genuinely love their daughters. They've been there to support them through some of the wildest moments on Vanderpump Rules, and that bond is pretty special. Now, imagine the conversations at that table. I bet they're talking mad shit about Jax. Let's be real, none of them are fans of his. Can you picture it? A full-on intervention-level mom convo, complete with goat cheese balls. And as for Schwartz, I just know he regrets losing Katie. That's a conversation I'd love to be a fly on the wall for. Anyway, that's my little VPR daydream for today. Let me know in the comments what you think they're talking about, and if you'd want to be at that table too. I have to say, I'm not exactly thrilled about the idea of another season with the current cast, but I'm also not interested in a fresh cast of 20-somethings. Maybe it's because I'm closer in age to the OGs and just can't connect with a younger crew. Speaking of the OGs, I had brunch at SUR yesterday for the first time in a couple of years, and if they plan on doing any more filming there, the place needs a serious refresh. Those micro-suede bar stools, you know, the purple, green, and pink ones, are dirty and faded, and the fox flowers are collecting dust. It feels like they're desperately holding on to the past. But hey, Guillermo was there, which was a nice touch of nostalgia. Now, if Bravo had treated Dana and Charlie right, maybe they would have stuck around. I would have loved to see Charlie continue to shut down Lala at every opportunity. Honestly, I could see VPR going back to its roots, but with spin-offs featuring the OGs. How about a show focused on Ariana and Katie navigating their business and lives, with other women from the show making appearances? And for those who love a good hate watch, toss us a series on the two Toms struggling with their businesses and personal lives in their 40s. Maybe even throw Jax into the mix. As for Scheana and Lala, I'm not sure what to do with them. I could see them fitting into the Valley, especially since it seems to be in production now. Scheana's married life with kids works there, and Lala could bring a different take on family dynamics. Though honestly, I think Lala could benefit from some time off to focus on her baby and reassess her choices. James and Ale are a bit of a wild card. Maybe they could spin off into a show centered around the music industry. I'm curious to hear what you all think about where they could go. But most of all, I want to see a Something About Her spinoff. That would be my top pick. I'm not interested in a new cast. I've invested in the OGs and their lives. Their chemistry was lightning in a bottle, and it can't be replicated. Reality TV isn't what it used to be when VPR first started. Now everyone's just trying to build a brand and cash in on social media. New shows feel super corny and contrived because no one's authentic anymore like the early days of VPR. And let's not forget, we already have Vanderpump Villa for those who want a totally revamped VPR, though did anyone actually watch that show? I want to follow the remaining likable OGs, aka the women minus Lala and Scheana, who are insufferable and don't even bring good drama to the table anymore. I'd love to see minor appearances from the men just to check in on how terrible their lives are, and bring back Charlie and Dana if they're open to it. Sigh, but let's be real, Bravo doesn't listen to their audience. The network is run by misogynistic men who are completely out of touch with what we actually want to see. So, what do you all think? How would you spin off the VPR cast? Let's talk about Jax. I hate to admit it, but Jax was right. He really was the #1 guy in the group. As horrible of a person as he is, and he truly is, there's no denying that he made for some of the best TV. The group is so boring without him, especially with Brock around. Speaking of which, James is abusive, point blank, period. The fact that he's still on the show is absolutely insane to me. Whether he's sober or not, I find myself skipping every scene he's in. It's just too much. And Brock? He doesn't even seem real. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something about him just doesn't add up. I really wish Ken got more screen time. I actually started watching RHOB just to see more of him. His appearances during the earlier seasons of Gay Pride were so much fun, even if they were questionable at times, like when he randomly pulled down that guy's bottoms. Ken just brought a unique energy to the show that I miss. As for Stassi, I miss her too. Yes, she sucks and her actions were deplorable, but there's no denying she made great TV. Plus, I loved Beau. Brittany, on the other hand, don't miss her at all. Now, I have to confess, I'm an unapologetic Katie lover/stan. Yes, she can be a mean girl, but honestly, I don't care. The rest of the group has been so rotten to her, and I've always rooted for her. Katie is one of the few real, genuine human beings on the show. I think the others bring out the worst in her, but as the series went on, I found myself respecting her more and more. She's mature, and I think a lot of that comes from her life experiences and her family. The Toms, though, completely irrelevant to me. They've always been and always will be irresponsible, selfish, and childish. I think the most telling thing about them is how the other cast members react to their bizarre behavior and choices. It says it all. Lastly, I really hope Rachel gets the help she desperately needs. I know these are pretty common opinions, but I just needed to get them out there. Thanks for listening, and I'm so glad to have this subreddit to share my thoughts with. This place has become one of my favorites. I used to really dislike Katie. I found her mean and bitter, especially in the earlier seasons. But ever since she dumped Schwartz, I've grown to love her. She's become so chill, cool, and genuinely authentic. It's like a complete 180 from how I felt before. Has anyone else experienced this shift in their opinion of Katie? I think her transformation has a lot to do with her stepping away from the drama and focusing on herself. She and Ariana have become my favorites on the show. I also listen to Katie's podcast and love it. My whole perspective on her has changed drastically, and I now see her as incredibly cool and genuine. It makes me wonder, if I went back and rewatched the earlier seasons, would I still dislike her as much, or would I see her in a different light? Sometimes I think about how I might come off if I were surrounded by the same group of people Katie was. It makes me wonder if my own behavior might change in that environment too. I'm really interested to hear if anyone else feels similarly about Katie and if your opinions have shifted over time. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I think I've settled on RHONY as my new go-to, and I'm excited about it. RHONY has always had that unique charm, and I think it might just fill the void left by VPR. Still, I miss the show already. The Valley has some potential, but with only one season so far, I'm not sure if it'll be enough to replace VPR. Bravo used to be on my TV constantly, but since VPR ended, I found myself losing interest in the network. Anyone else feeling this way? On a positive note, it looks like the Valley might stick around for a while. Lala and Scheana are expected to make recurring appearances, which is a plus. If you're missing the vibes of VPR, you might enjoy rewatching RHOBH seasons 1 to 7. It has similar energy, and Brandy's trainwreck behavior makes Kristen seem level-headed by comparison. Hear me out, if you're in the same boat as me, not realizing how much you enjoyed binging reality TV until it was over, you might want to check out Survivor. I recently started watching it, and it's awesome. It's a little trashy and incredibly entertaining. I'm still holding out hope that Bravo will return to its glory days. But in the meantime, stepping out of the network has been a good change for me. Let's dive into the messy situation between Katie, Stassi, and Kristen in Season 8. This drama centered around Katie and Stassi's decision to distance themselves from Kristen because of her relationship with Carter, which was causing a lot of tension. So here's the situation. Katie and Stassi felt frustrated with Kristen for staying in a toxic relationship with Carter and being vague about where things stood. They were exhausted from constantly being her support system while she seemed unwilling to make a change. On the flip side, Kristen was dealing with a lot and felt abandoned by her best friends during one of the hardest times in her life. Who was in the wrong here? On one hand, it's understandable that Katie and Stassi were fed up, constantly being there for a friend in a bad relationship, only for them to ignore your advice and continue to complain can be draining. They wanted Kristen to recognize that the relationship was unhealthy and take steps to end it. Their frustration was palpable, and they felt they had reached their limit. On the other hand, Kristen was going through a tough time and needed support from her friends more than ever. It's hard to feel abandoned and unsupported when you're already struggling with a difficult situation. Kristen has had a history of staying in relationships past their expiration date, and this was no different. It's natural for her to feel hurt and isolated when the people she relied on weren't there for her. In looking back, I see why both sides felt the way they did. Kristen had every right to feel upset and abandoned, especially given her emotional state. At the same time, Katie and Stassi's frustration was also valid. They were trying to push Kristen to make a change for her own well-being, which they felt was necessary. I personally sided more with Kristen at the time. I felt Katie and Stassi went too far in their treatment of her, especially considering Kristen had supported them through their own relationship struggles. It seemed like they were unwilling to show her the same understanding when she needed it the most. That said, Carter was undeniably awful, and it was cringeworthy to see Kristen continue to bring him around the friend group. It added to the tension and made the situation even more complicated. In conclusion, no one was completely right or wrong here. Kristen felt abandoned and hurt, while Katie and Stassi were frustrated and overwhelmed. It was a lose-lose situation where neither side fully understood the other's perspective. It's a reminder that supporting friends through tough times can be challenging, and sometimes both sides need to meet halfway to find understanding. What do you all think? Did you lean more towards one side or the other, or do you think it was a complex situation where no one was entirely at fault? During the time when Scandoval broke, Scheana and Lala were indeed quite active on their podcasts. Here's a summary of what they were saying during that period. Scheana's podcast, Shenanigans, was buzzing with Scandoval-related discussions. She talked about her perspective on the drama. often defending her friend group and commenting on the situation with Tom Sandoval and Ariana. Scheana sometimes offered details about the fallout and her thoughts on the actions of various cast members. However, she did try to balance her comments, not always diving deep into the most salacious aspects of the scandal. Lala Kent's podcast, Give Them Lala, was also very active during this period. Lala was outspoken about her feelings regarding the scandal situation. She often expressed strong opinions about the betrayal, shared her frustrations, and offered her take on the dynamics between the cast members. Lala did not hold back her thoughts and was vocal about her support for Ariana, sometimes critiquing other cast members' actions and behaviors. Regarding Lisa Vanderpump, it's true that she had some concerns about how the cast members were handling the situation publicly. She reportedly advised them to tone down the rhetoric on their podcasts and public platforms. Lisa was worried about the ongoing drama affecting everyone's well-being, including Tom Sandoval's, who was indeed visibly upset. It wasn't about making everyone best friends, but rather managing the situation more sensitively. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.